So before we get into the news properly today, I want to address the elephant in the room and fill you in quickly on what's been going on with us this week. Because ever since Wednesday, and because we haven't released any videos since Wednesday, people have been tweeting and DMing us pretty much constantly to ask if we, Taliesin and Evitel, have alpha access. Well, sit down, internet, and prepare yourselves for a very sad story. So, when on Wednesday the Battle for Azeroth Friends and Family Alpha dropped, Evitel and I weren't even in the country. It was Evitel's birthday on Thursday, and even though we kind of suspected that this would be the week that Alpha launched, we decided that a birthday is a birthday and you do fun stuff on your birthday, so we fucked it right off and went to one of the funnest cities we know, Krakow in Poland. And hey, Tuesday had been and gone with no alpha news, so maybe we were wrong and it wouldn't be happening this week anyway. Well, no, obviously, because we're never wrong. And as we chilled out in a chic old town bar, our phones started going crazy as Twitter basically collapsed in on itself because yes, it did totally happen, and yes, it totally happened while we were on holiday. But we made our decision. We didn't regret it. We knew we'd be back to make a weekly reset, but then came a thought that we hadn't really considered before. Would we be invited to the alpha? Because already the streaming and YouTube worlds were turning into something of a have and have not type situation. And suddenly we were a bit scared because shit man, we don't want to be in the have nots. And here's the thing, we were on holiday with no computers, so we couldn't just launch the browser and check. There's no way we would know until we got an email through. And neither of us had got an email through. So we kind of left it at that. No big deal. After all, when the Legion Alpha launched, this channel didn't even exist. We're not a massive channel in any way. That's all cool. We can live with that. But now comes the sad part of the story, because a few hours later, one of us did get an email. One of us was chosen. The other was not chosen and did not get an email. No matter how many times I refreshed the damn page and checked my spam and other completely unrelated email accounts just in case, because yes, okay, fine, Evitel got alpha and I didn't. And I tried to pretend that it didn't matter and that I was pleased for her. Like, we can still make alpha videos and that's the main thing, right? And it's Evitel's birthday, so it's fitting, right? Right? I don't need alpha access anyway, do I, right? And anyway, maybe I have got alpha access anyway and the email is just a little bit behind. Yeah, that's probably it. Maybe we just need to wait for a second email. Okay, I hope you're still sitting down because this story is about to get even sadder, if you can believe that. Because a second email did come. There was a second alpha invite on its way to us. And seriously, it was Evitel again. Okay, this genuinely happened, right? Evitel got alpha access twice. You can see it on her launcher, which is fine, you know, who cares? It's not like I'm jealous or anything, but seriously, twice! It was in that moment that I knew what it felt like to be one of the Hemsworth brothers that isn't Chris Hemsworth, and it didn't feel good. Sorry, Hemsworth boys, I had no idea. And it totally didn't ruin our evening or anything, because I totally didn't get in a mood, but I think you'll agree, it is a very sad story. I mean, the next day I got an email too, because obviously I did have alpha access, and actually the story has a happy ending. So just to recap, we both have alpha, I'm not Luke Hemsworth, and even when I thought just Evitel had it, I wasn't even slightly upset, because I was just so busy being happy for her. Yeah. And thus concludes the story. Thank you. So yes, the alpha is here. And if you are one of those people who really wanted in on this and are upset because you're not in on this, then honestly, you're not missing much. At the moment, that last possible release date of September the 30th is looking more and more likely to be the actual release date, because at the moment, this is not something that looks like it's going to be ready to launch any earlier than expected, like Legion was. 2 zones and dungeons that those of us at BlizzCon have already played, some scenarios which don't really work properly, a hefty stat squish, and the first embryonic class and spec changes too, all of which we are going to talk about, because it's all obviously broken and bugged and unfinished and really, really great. So if you're not in the alpha, then here's what you're not missing. You're not missing any insight at all as to whether Battle for Azeroth is going to be a good game or not. Questions like, how is the gameplay? What is the storytelling like? Has this class been sorted? How is Azerite armor going to impact things? These questions are fun, but meaningless, because that's not what this build is for. Here we have 2 new zones which are still relatively empty. Mobs don't work, floors disappear, quests bug out, and it's exciting because you're getting a sneak peek at something that isn't ready yet, but it can hardly be described as insightful. It's the devs who get the insight every time you fall through a floor or bug out a quest. But you all know that anyway, so now we've got all the boring, rational, grown-up part out of the way, let's get to the fun stuff and ask, what can we take from this first alpha build? What have we learned about Battle for Azeroth so far?
Well, we knew that the zones looked amazing and had wonderful music from BlizzCon, with the Horde area Nazmir being a particular feast of dinosaurs, gold, and awesome. I know I shouldn't think they are sexy, but really, honestly, I do actually think they're sexy. Sorry, blood trolls. I know I'm in the minority when I say that aesthetically, I actually prefer the Alliance Zone Drustvar, all woodland and wicker and folksy undertones, which are so up my street they may as well be sitting on the edge of my bed, and doing a Morris dance, I guess. But the alpha can tell us something that we didn't already know. For one, size. I can't be alone in being just slightly worried that 3 zones each is going to feel just a little bit small when it comes to leveling our characters this expansion. And even though we can't properly tell yet, these two, and what we can see of the others using Farsight, are suitably vast and varied and detailed. Heartening news. We can also tell that they're going to follow the Legion style of having a central and essentially linear narrative that you follow to complete the zone. And I haven't encountered any revolutionary gameplay changing quests yet, but they are all fun and occasionally quirky and essentially what you'd expect.
One of the more interesting parts of this build are the Alliance and Horde scenarios that get us to Zandalar and Kul Tiras in the first place. Now, I'm not sure we're actually supposed to be able to leave Nazmir and Drustvar to be able to try these at all this time around, but obviously we could because mages exist. Mages still exist on Alpha. Relax, mage players, you are safe for another expansion. And even though these scenarios are broken and uncompletable, and Blizzard keeps enabling them and disabling them seemingly on a whim, and if you die at any point, you res in a different continent, so you essentially have to start a new character and begin again. They are great, especially the Horde one, which sees you and the faction leaders stealing into Stormwind on a rescue mission before facing off against the baddest ass hooded bondage Jaina you've ever seen, and then making your escape while Stormwind literally burns around you. If you're Alliance, you're going to sail off on Jaina's massive Kul Tiras ship that she's apparently always had access to but never used, and sailing off for a reunion with Jaina's mum, who promptly banishes Jaina and throws you in jail. And there's no burning Stormwind, but the whole jailbreak thing with your new beautifully dressed criminal buddy is still pretty fun, just not as fun as burning Stormwind, obviously. From a story point of view, there are two obvious standouts here. The first is Jaina's mum, who is clearly a badass, and yes please, lots of her please. But there's also the case of Sourfang. Data mine broadcast text from the Lordaeron scenarios, which aren't part of this build, and I guess they are still intended to be a pre-patch thing, suggests that he's not very happy with Sylvanas' methods in that battle. There must be another way, he says. Sorry.
Be another way, he says.
And in Stormwind Extraction here, he's been rescued all of 5 seconds before he's giving himself up to human guards and wanting words with Anduin, which is, well, it's suspicious in a not too subtle way, let's just say that. So is it a double bluff? Or is Sourfang about to betray the Horde, or save the Horde from Sylvanas, depending on your point of view? I'm an unashamed fan of the way they've been telling the story in WoW since Legion, and all the signs are that Battle for Azeroth could be another step up in that area. Stuff like this and how the overall storyline is an intrinsic part of mostly everything we do makes me feel really hopeful.
Class changes. This is something that people are talking about a lot, because any changes to your class are going to affect the way you play through the next expansion on the most fundamental level. The most obvious, and let's be honest, fun changes are new animations. And in this alpha build, Warlocks finally get their moment to shine, after being the only casters not to get their new shiny animations in Legion. Congrats if you've managed to navigate YouTube or Twitter at all in the last few days without seeing Warlock players drooling over these. Shadowbolt has transformed from Chinese novelty dragonhead firework to relentless writhing death comet. And there's generally just more awesome fire effects flying around than on a fire mage actually, which has got to sting for mages. What I'm saying is, it was worth the wait for Warlocks. Less immediate though is the impact of actual changes that classes and specs will see to their abilities and rotations next expansion. It's something that we are following and that we will eventually be making guides on, but I'm still a bit reluctant to talk about them in any great detail now because it really is totally pointless. So, for example, do you remember how in the first alpha data mine Warlocks had lost their Doomguard cooldown and everyone was talking about what differences that would make to Warlock play and analysing what this meant for Warlocks going forward? Yeah, they've essentially got a Doomguard cooldown back now. So those specs that are big steaming hot messes like Outlaw or Survival or Demonology, these are nowhere near having the reworks they will be getting. Sure, Spear Hunters have seen some big changes, but clearly a lot of it won't stick. Blizzard are just throwing ideas at it at the moment. It's easier to see how Blizzard's stated intentions with other specs is likely to play out, but only just. Tanks have lost most of their magic protection and are relying more on armor effects, and those specs that were fundamentally based around artifact abilities are seeing those abilities reappear as talents, like like fire mages, or baked in, like Disc. But of course, until the Heart of Azeroth becomes playable and we can see the kinds of things Azerite armor is going to do, then any analysis is about as useful as the Legion class analysis was before artifacts and legendaries were added. In other words, not useful at all. Even the much talked about class raid buffs that we saw in the data mining have been reduced in this build. Now only 5 classes appear to have any, but again that will almost certainly change. Still, those Shadow Bolt animations though, eh? Nice.
We can see that stat squish for reals in this first build. New 110 characters in the alpha have an eye level of 192, which considering we were scraping 1000 by the end of Legion is a massive change. Not one anyone will notice playing through current Battle for Azeroth content, obviously, but it will eventually have implications for going back and tackling old content, a subject which is still a bit raw since the new level scaling also impacted old content a few weeks ago. The fact that people on the alpha have found the time to go back and try to solo old content at the new eye level frankly amazes me and shows me up for the alpha noob I am. It takes a special type of player to find themselves on a new continent with actual flying dinosaurs filling the sky and think to themselves, I should take this opportunity to try and solo some Cataclysm raids. But those players definitely exist because they've tried the old content and you'll be very surprised to learn that it's really hard and they got nailed. Now, this may be the first alpha I've been invited to, but it's not the first alpha I remember by any means. We've had stat squishes before and this is what always happened. Blizzard need to have players in there trying this stuff to give them the data they need to tweak those numbers and make them right, and guaranteed it's going to be one of the last things to be changed. Even at the start of Legion there was old content that was pretty much unplayable, but it did get sorted. I tell you what, if you're still worried, look no further than the forums. They are full of experienced players who've seen all of this before, and they know better than to panic about something as simple and obvious as this, and genuinely your mind will be put well and truly at rest, because I think on this topic especially, they really impressed me with their calm logic and reasoned no, it was a shit show. Obviously. There is nothing I hate more than the stat squish. This is just stupid. It's deprogression. With some of their decisions, it's easy to believe they are idiots. Oh, so first you make leveling last forever and now you make it last even longer. What a surprise. I like big boobs. It'll get sorted.
So we may have a brand shiny new alpha full of shiny new things, but as ever there's even more interesting things hidden away out of sight in that code. And this week has been another bumper haul for Wowhead and MMO Champ with new models, broadcast text, and other tantalizing glimpses into an uncertain future. My favorites include the new dog mount. I mean, it's called Shuzen the Divine Sentinel, but I'll be honest, you're never going to hear me say that again because this is dog mount. That's what it is. That's what it will be known as. It is the dog mount. It's also a Chinese store mount for Blizzard's Year of the Dog celebrations. So they get to buy a dog mount for Year of the Dog, which is great, but why no mount for Year of the Cock last year? Talk about a missed opportunity. I'm sure that means that it'll be a store mount for us too, but with it being tied to a specifically Chinese celebration, it could be that it'll find its way onto our client in a different way. I also really like the new map that's been data mined, which looks like it might be tied to a scenario in Gorgrond in Draenor. This would seem to fit rather conveniently with Ian's recent revelation that Draenor orcs would become a playable allied race in Battle for Azeroth. Gorgrond is where the Laughing Skull clan are based, who aren't the brown orcs everyone assumes we're getting, rather they're a kind of pale grey. We're hoping this means that we'll get the choice of different clans for our Draenor orc characters to go with our lovely new straight backs. Either that or we're just getting grey orcs instead of the brown ones we all want and everyone is going to be really happy. And lastly, some data mined boss abilities. At the time of writing we have no idea what boss uses these abilities or why they use them or even if they will end up using them at all, and usually I wouldn't even bother mentioning, but in this case I'll make an exception because the abilities are called Yogg Saren's Deception, Service of N'Zoth, and Corruptor's Pact, which makes N'Zoth's power course through you. Make of that what you will.
By the way, sorry it was a weird intro to this episode today. It's because we actually, like, went all out for the intro to this video, we had a genuine musical number.
Yep.
Like with singing and actual dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And it took us ages to make, and I just didn't like it. It just wasn't good.
It's fair. Sometimes
So
that
we
just
scrapped
happens.
it. Just didn't work.
Sometimes that happens.
Anyway, it was brilliant, but you know, as a creator, you've got to just know that sometimes you create work and it's shit.
Sometimes you have
and
to.
you have to just throw it away. An attitude that we could probably do more with on this channel.
Yeah, actually.
Probably afford to throw quite a bit more of it away, really. Starting maybe right now. So, Evitel, or Evi2 Alphas, as we'll call you from now on, how's your alphas? Which alpha is your favourite alpha?
Well, if I had to choose one, I have been going with Alpha 1.
Well, I think that's probably fair enough.
You know, it just feels right.
What have you done in Alpha so far?
I have run around a bit in Drustvar, and as you do.
Did you tell Blizzard? Were you like, I run around and this is what it was like, and this is
No.
how you can... That's
No.
what you're supposed to do.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm not reporting any bugs, because it's all bugs.
Yeah, but that's what you're supposed to do. You're a terrible...
all
I
bugs.
can't believe you got
Wait.
2 alphas
What?
and you're not even like...
Sorry, wait, am I detecting some jealousy right now?
No, because I've totally got an alpha mate, but only
Right,
one.
but-
So I've got to be careful not to wear it out. You can totally, like, really go ham on one of your alphas and wear it to, like, a stub. Like a stub
Yeah.
of an alpha, and
Yeah.
you've still got another one to swap to later
Yeah,
on.
I
You can be
could,
really
I could.
rough with one of your alphas, it doesn't matter. You're okay.
I'm always rough with my alphas.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to do was go to Zuldazar, and I couldn't go to Zuldazar.
Well, you kind of can.
Oh?
Yeah, if you're a shaman, you can use Farsight and you can just go anywhere on the map. It takes a while, but you can get there.
Okay, don't have the energy.
Because that's what I did. I went everywhere with everyone. Because the thing is, it's quite easy to get lost.
Right.
That's the only thing. Because obviously you can't use the map for reference because the
Yeah.
map just shows you as being where you're actually standing.
Yeah.
But you can kind of get everywhere. I found some really fun places.
Oh.
I wanted to go to the desert zone
Right.
in Zandalar and have a look at that. And I wanted to go and try and find like the big Kul Tiras city as well, with all like the
Did
cool
you find
boats and
it?
stuff. Yeah, I found it.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome, mate.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well.
Can't lie. You haven't been into any dungeons or anything yet?
No, haven't touched it.
I've joined
I will,
queues.
I will, though.
I joined queues, but I've only done it by myself so far. I need to
Okay.
join up with some friends who are on there as well and
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
do some dungeons and
Well,
stuff. But
we
at the
could
moment,
do it together.
yeah, we could. Oh, we've learned that doing dungeons is really, really hard without all
Yeah.
your usual keybinds and macros.
Yeah. Yeah,
And like,
I love that
it's
stuff.
really worth spending some time doing those before you go into a dungeon and get absolutely destroyed because
Yeah.
you're trying to heal on a disc
Oh, I
and
love
you don't
it.
have any mouse over macros. Yeah, that's quite
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I let Blizzard know. I wrote them I wrote them a
Hello.
report. I said, by the way,
Hi.
Blizz, just don't know if you know Blizz, but hi, I'm in the alpha.
Hi.
It's
I mean,
really
just,
hard.
Just barely.
Yeah.
Like, kind of just in the second,
I know.
maybe in like the last round.
I don't
Like, you
wa-
kind of just got in there.
I don't
know.
want to write any reports or anything, just in case they realise that it's me and that I'm not supposed to be
Right.
there, and they're like, whoa. Right, A, get him out of the alpha. B, find whichever member of our staff, put him in the alpha, and sack them
And you know that-
instantly.
you
Which
know
is
that-
why we're not going to say the name of who got us in there.
You know
on
that
air,
Evitel?
just in case
Give her a
that's actually
third. Give her a third. Just to, give her.
But I am looking forward over the coming weeks, months, for A, doing lots of cool alpha content alongside our other content as well, because this is the thing, right? As I was questing through Drustvar, quests are really interesting. This is the thing, like, you start off in Drustvar and you, like, the whole town is all frozen and stuff because there's like this curse on them, and you have to like find out why they're cursed. It's kind of like The Witcher, I guess, but like
little
a
bit.
really kind of like a baseline MMO version
I was
of
like
The Witcher.
really expecting someone to start going,
Yeah, every
like,
time
in
you
the
fight.
background, every
Yeah.
time.
Neil
I
Cree,
love
make
The
it
Witcher.
happen, mate. There is that thing of like, so if you're not on the alpha and you really wanted to be, like the good thing is you get people like us, and I think Belialar's doing some alpha
Well,
videos.
I don't know. I haven't checked.
I did try to check, but when I went onto his YouTube channel, my computer literally set on fire. There was like too much new data just there, like it overloaded
the
my
Matrix,
computer. It's set on fire.
Numbers falling.
Yeah. So, hey man, baby needs a new diamond throne. So, you've got people like us doing that and going through it and telling you stuff as and when. So
Yeah.
you don't have to ruin your questing experience.
I know exactly, and really the most exciting thing for me is just kind of getting a hint at some of the new zones and some of the new NPCs and characters and some of the class changes, which you can kind of anticipate a little bit. But yeah, I feel like the story is something best saved for when you actually play through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or when
And
you watch a cinematic that drops.
the art competition has now closed.
Yes, it has.
The winner is somewhere in our inbox. We just haven't decided who it is yet. Because seriously, well, apart from anything, we've had over 100 entries into this competition.
Yeah.
And I would say about 10% of those are quite jokey ones, which are still brilliant.
Yeah.
By
Many
the
of them are
way,
quite good.
vast majority of them are like incredible works of art from incredibly talented people. And
it's amazing.
we got a mad rush with about an hour to go last night of like entries coming in, and we've got a lot of thinking to do. But next episode, without fail, we will be revealing our winner. But thank you for joining us this week. If you did like this episode, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to help these videos happen. Guys, without you, there would be no weekly reset. Thank you. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Brutal Static.
Is it?
No, you know it's not.
Sorry, sometimes
We've
it's
met like
this
loads of
happens
times.
every week.
Nearly every week we've met.
I'm still getting used to it.
No, my name is Taliesin. For me...
Sorry. And me, Evitel.
No, you're not.
Who is this?
No, you're not.